Oh, the sun just broke through. It's been cloudy all morning and the birds are coming in. Hi everybody, it is Robbie from Southern California. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not doing a garden tour. You know I do it every 2 weeks, and I know so many of you enjoy watching it because you see the little progressions or failures coming through. Today I'm going to skip it. What is exciting is I was greeted by this. Remember the sunflower that got demolished by the white crowns? Look at this, no leaves, everything eaten by all the birds, and I have a beautiful little sunflower really at the wrong time of the year. Notice it is facing towards the sun. Though I will tell you, I came out the other day, even though it wasn't open, and it was facing the same way. Some people say it follows. Well, I haven't seen that one follow, but is that not beautiful? So let me tell you why I'm not going to do a garden tour. Because I'm going to go crazy here trying to get a lot done and try to keep my husband tied down, which didn't work because he was up this morning running around doing his regular chores, but I went with him as soon as I saw he took off. This photo was taken this morning. He's still wearing the full wristband that he got during surgery because he's not supposed to be walking after being on drugs, and he was reminiscing how he jumped out of a plane many years ago. There's a lot that we do around here, and even some of it is just hiking from one area to another because it's not a level property. Let me see what bird is over there. Oh, okay, it's gold crowns. I think I saw a Wilson warbler in there. It's gone now. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of tell you what happened this week and what is going on. And don't worry, in 2 weeks I'll do a full garden tour. By then, everything should be almost back to normal as it could be. Gary went in for surgery to have a second hernia repaired. Now, we didn't know what was going to happen in the beginning. We didn't know if he was going to have to stay in the hospital. It was all written out. I was with them yesterday morning when they read the papers that if they had to repair the other one, they would have to open him up. I don't want to get gruesome, and repair it, and it would be a hospital stay, depending on what damage or what they had to do. So with that, we were prepared for anything and everything. Oh my goodness. And thank goodness he was in surgery for 2 hours. I was there when they wheeled him in, and I wasn't there when they wheeled him out, but they called me and it was up on the board. So I knew when he was out that the first hernia surgery he had 7 years ago held beautiful. The doctor called me and said everything was great. Everything was wonderful. He didn't have to do anything. There was no repair at all on that. So thank goodness for that. Now, the one he did yesterday, there was major repair, but it was all done with a laparoscope. And because of that, the doctor told me he could go home, provided there were some other issues they were having at the time. And that's something that took hours too. So we were there until it was dark, starting from in the morning and then waiting. What happened was his blood pressure went up, and he has white coat syndrome for various things that happened in his past. Spending time in the hospital with a loved one, it really got to him. It was his mother. And this was many, many years ago. So when he goes into a hospital, his blood pressure skyrockets. So basically, in a nutshell, it was 200 over 100, and they could not get it down. And when they called me in, they told me he may not be able to go home. They can't get it down. So I told them that I have high blood pressure when I go in for a checkup. But if I watch a Hallmark movie or some fun movie, it brings it down. And they said, really? I said, absolutely. And they said, do you have anything you could try? I said, yeah, I've got the friendly app on my phone. They said, well, sit for a few minutes, turn it on. I turned on some movie, I don't know. This was a year ago. And I turned it on. I sat there. She said, all right, I'll be back in 15 minutes. I was watching the movie. She came back in and said, don't move. So there I am sitting and watching the movie. Took my blood pressure. It was absolutely normal. She says, oh my gosh, it works. I said, yeah, because it takes your mind off of everything. My mind's always racing. And yes. So anyways, we did the same thing. It just so happens he likes the movie Snowman's. It's a crazy movie, and he just likes it. He thinks it's so funny about a snowman that comes to life, but the things he does, he loves playing out in the snow. He could rip his clothes off and nobody can understand what's wrong with him. So anyways, I put it on and I gave him earbuds, and he was in there with the earbuds listening to it, laughing and laughing and laughing. And then they retook his blood pressure, and it had gone from that 200 to 100 to approximately 143 over 84, I think it was. So he was good to go. And at that point, we waited for about an hour or so. When it finally came down, everything was good, so we came home. So that was yesterday. Now today I'm running around like a marathon trying to get stuff with him done, even though he's ahead of me and he's doing a lot of stuff, but he's not lifting. In fact, I set up more stuff for him so he doesn't have to lift. So anything that needs to be watered, he doesn't have to run to the hose, get buckets. I actually gave him some pitchers, the same pitchers that I use in my totes when I'm doing a compost in place. I love those. We make like a worm farm, but everything decomposes in there and feeds the plant. So I had a lot of extra Rubbermaid ones that last forever. And I wasn't happy about a few that I had because the lid was hard to get it on and off. I actually like Dollar Tree's better. So I gave him those and we set those up. So you just have to pick up a pitcher. He's not supposed to lift anything over 10 pounds. So that worked out good. So this is only the first day. Last night I went out in the dark. Oh, that's funny. In the dark, hiking through the hills. His dogs wouldn't go with me. They wanted to stay at the house with him. Can you imagine? I said, come on, guys, you're going to come with me. I'm going to hike through the mountains and go through everything. And no, they wouldn't go with me. So I went by myself. Saw a mouse. I heard noises. You know what scared me? I saw a little roach cross in front of me. I don't like roaches. I don't mind mice if I see a mouse because I know they see me, I see them, and we both can run. But roaches don't run. They'll run at you. Anyways, everything was fine. Went through all the chickens and everything in the dark, and everything was good to go. And then I came up with his dogs, waiting with him at the house. So this morning I went down with him. Now I'm just going to start doing things in my garden that I wasn't thinking about. And that's where we are today. The dog kennel, we're going to leave it, I hope. You know, he could be out here in a few days ripping that wire off that he wasn't happy with and putting it on differently. Really, it doesn't need much. I could do it. He wants to do it. But anyways, we're not going to stop. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to set it up. I've got some large totes, some small totes. I'm going to get some more from Dollar Tree because they're totes for $5. Yes, you can pay an extra $1 or $2 and get them from Walmart or go to the thrift store and get the 18-gallon ones for like $1 or $2. But the point is, if you put in smaller and know what you're growing, you could get more growing because the more totes you have, the more containers you have control over each and every plant, how it's watered, how you feed it, if you're using compost tea or not, because you don't want to overfeed carrots or any root type plants like beets, because then they grow fancy tops, but very little on the bottom. So there's things that we need to think about when we're gardening, what we're putting together. Not that they're compatible or not, but they're compatible in the way of how you feed the plant. And we can get all into that in the spring or at any time. So I'm going to go with different containers in the long dog kennel. I love that thing. I've got so many plants. So right now I'm going to be checking on my garden, not doing too much, but I am going to work in the bird garden because there is something I want to do, and I'll show you this. I have been throwing all kinds of stuff in here, twigs, branches, everything. And look at this. I had these buckets on top, you know, kind of like layering. There's old kitchen scraps. Is this not beautiful? It all broke down. There was really very little soil in here. It was just stuff. And I was watering it because if you remember, I had all these pots just sitting on top. Nothing in there this year. See where the holes are? The holes are up, so it holds water, but look at the bottom. Look at this. So I want to dig this out. All that's going to come out, and I'll put it in maybe some small buckets, and I'll have it ready to plant. You could use that on the top when you're planting seeds or new plants. Then on the bottom, I'm going to be able to walk through my garden and take anything off that's brown or yellow, you know, go through and start loading the whole thing back up again. And then I think I will use a layer on that. So I'm going to work with that, and I'll probably, I don't know if I'll plant directly in it or if I'll put a pot on top, a flower pot, plant something in that. So it's a layering effect and everything will break down underneath. The next thing I'm going to do is figure out why this hose is driving me crazy. They keep bending. You know, these were expensive hoses he bought. And there's another part, I don't see it now, that's kind of broke. It's not broke. The plastic is breaking on it. I don't even see it, but I did. Oh, here it is. The hose itself is not leaking, but it bends. See how it bends? You can't get decent hoses. I love the metal ones, but this is a full hose. You know, it's like, is it 3/4? I can't remember. It's a big hose. So I'm going to take a stick, something like this. You could do this too if you have a problem with the hose. And then I'm going to duct tape the dickens out of it, or painter's tape. But I might put painter's tape and then duct tape on top, or vice versa. Then when the hose bends, it can't bend. Now I'm going to repair this hose, but you got to keep in mind, this is not leaking. The hose has come apart and it keeps kinking here. It is not leaking. You cannot do this if it was leaking. So I'm just going to take right now, all I need is the scissors, any stick I found in the yard, and right now I'm going to use duct tape. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just tear off a little duct tape. And I'm going to put it around here only because of, well, the way it looks. So we're just going to put it here, give it a little more security so hopefully it won't bust. Because if it goes through that fabric they've got there, it will bust. Let's put a little bit more. Can't hurt, it's cheap. This is a cheap duct tape, I can tell. Painter's tape would work too, but this will be a little, Okay, so we folded it. I'm gonna worry about it. So it's got a crinkle, I don't care. All right, so we're gonna, this is just a quick fix. Okay, now it's still gonna bend because it's fabric. The next thing I need is some sort of stick. I could use this one too. It's just laying on the ground. You know what? I could use two. So when I pull the hose, it will not be able to just bend. It just bends, and that's all it takes is one little bend, and then it doesn't give me any water. Start with a couple small pieces. And I'll start with this one. I'll put this here. And right now, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just doing this on the ground. Me, you, my phone. Okay. The main thing is I don't want it to kink when I'm watering. Again, I will need a hose, but you know, this should last me until spring, if not longer. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. And then we're gonna put more over it. You know, I could, if I wanted to, put a second one. See, I've got this one. This is just stuff I found on the ground. It's a little thick. A little too thick, actually. Let me see here. You know, why not? It's free. It's free. Nature is gonna fix my hose temporarily. But at least it won't, oh my gosh. All I have to do is pull it and it just kinks. It folds in half. It just folds in half. Now I'm gonna put it on the opposite side. I know that the weak spot is, where is the weak spot? It's around here somewhere. We'll just put it here. And we'll put that there. Now we have a stick on either side. Could I put two more sticks? If I wanted to. I could always come back and add more. Right now I'm just gonna get this all taped on. Now, here's the one thing with duct tape. It's not weatherproof. And when I say that, it will break away. So keep that in mind. That's why I like painter's tape. Painter's tape, the green one, it's frog, but the green colored one, boy, that stuff will last you for 2 years in the garden. This is gonna help the hose from not kinking when I pull it. Would painter's tape going over this help protect the duct tape? It probably would. But this is a quick fix, and that's all I'm looking for right now is a really quick fix. What I need is a new hose. You know, the bad part is even the expensive hoses are doing this weird thing now. I don't know what kind of rubber they're using or what they're using to make the hoses. They just collapse. You're in the middle of using them and they just, the inside, the liner collapses. That's why I like those metal hoses. The problem is you don't get a ton of water out of it, but in the winter, it's going to be perfectly fine to use because I don't need to bring in a ton of water. And when I say a lot, a big water flow, all I need is water to wet things down so they don't dry out. See, now it can't bend. Might as well cover the whole thing. Now, if this is all I'm going to use is masking tape and it's working, you may want to go back in a month and put some more on top. That's all, so it will stay in place and do what you need it to do. I just want to make sure all the wood is covered, everything's covered. There's a little bit showing there. Oh, I'm taking too many big pieces and crinkling it. Oh boy. This is not for strength to hold water from coming out. This is strictly to keep the hose from folding on me. I think that's it. Look at that. The wood is covered. Look at that. It can't bend. So now I can water in peace and not have to keep running to unfold it. I can do this anywhere the hose is kinking, and that will work. But that will hold it really nice. When I pull the hose, it can't bend at that spot. And any other place I've got a weak spot, which is another one here, some of the hoses collapse. I'm gonna do the same thing. Just a small stick, tape it on. It's not holding water, it's keeping the hose from bending on me. Oh, nothing makes me more crazy than being way on the other side of the bird garden and having to run all the way back because it bent. Not got tied, just collapses. That will help it from collapsing too. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the bird garden, stuff normally that I wasn't thinking about. Because I'll be honest, there was a lot of stuff I wasn't thinking about. I wanted him to get through the surgery, and of course now he's in recovery. I don't know. It's hard to hold him down. Even doing this, I have no idea what he's doing. He could be doing anything. He could be out in the yard digging holes. He says he knows. He says he understands, and he does. I mean, with the first surgery 7 years ago, he took it easy. He actually knows the day he ripped the first one, and everything was fine, and he did something. He was in a hurry. We were going somewhere, and he lifted something the wrong way, and he felt it. And that was probably 7.5 years ago, and then he had to go to the doctor, and yes, he had to go in right away. This time it just was a slow process until it got to the point it was really bad. I don't understand it, but he had to push it back in every day. And so they needed to do the surgery since the beginning of the year. They knew about it. It took this long. Can you imagine? Almost a year. But the other thing is he didn't push it. And I kept telling him, no, he wanted me to get through my cataract surgery. He kept saying, don't push it. Don't tell them I have to have it right now. So once I was done with that, we tried to get him scheduled. And it took a long time, but I got him one of the top doctors that I feel that were with our clinic. And we waited for him. They said they could have done it a month ago, but it would not have been the doctor that did his 7 years ago that's now traveling around. He's got a fancy procedure. So we held back until yesterday, and it all worked out. Now it's just a matter of him healing. So you will see things. I'm going to continue to do videos. If you don't see a video every single day, don't worry. It's just me trying to get stuff done, because see the hillside? Well, that's how the other side of the property is. And then he's got these buildings where there's chickens in there or guineas. And I have to hike in there. Yeah, in the middle of the night last night with my dogs not wanting to go with me. I can't believe that. Zoe would have gone with me, but no, I couldn't take a chance. Because even though our property on the other side there is all fenced, coyotes still come over, and we have raccoons, and we have possums, and we have bobcats. I'm not worried about the bobcats at all. I absolutely love them. If they hear you, they're gone. We do possibly have mountain lions. So we don't know. We've seen them once. My neighbor's seen them twice. So with that, you just want to be careful. But that's why I said, come on, guys, come with me. And nope, they're going to stay with Gary. They're very loyal to him. I tried to have one for myself in the house, a healer. Oh, no, that was never going to happen. They wanted to be with him. So that's what's going on. Are we growing food? Of course we're growing food. This is the bird garden. This is all food. This is all tree collar. Look how it fell, and it's growing all the new shoots. Then I've got lemon verbena. I've got tomatoes growing like mad all over. I have to look for them, but look at this. I've got tomatoes here. I've got all this green here. A lot of this is hybrids, and they're gorgeous, and we use them. I make a green drink. We use them in stir-fry soups. Whatever I'm making, you want to make like potato pancakes, you chop this up and put that in there. So you have green and potatoes. Look how gorgeous. Look at this. This is all food. Thank goodness the birds aren't eating this. They're eating the sunflower and other stuff. So we are growing tons of food. So I don't have to worry about, am I growing enough? And then I've got lettuce growing in my first dog kennel. I've got things growing on the deck. I've got a zucchini. I can't believe at the end of November, I'm going to have my last zucchini because I didn't have enough male flowers for the female zucchinis that were the flowers that were developing. But I did have some from an old plant that I had. I didn't know if it would make it, but I got one that made it. So I'm really happy I'll have one last zucchini if I get it before anybody else. And maybe I should wrap it with tulle. So that's what is going on here. And I'm just going to be doing stuff in my garden and analyzing what I'm going to do. Now, they did say he's on a diet strictly of not eating too much at one time. And I asked, you don't want to eat heavy meals. What about I make a green drink? I told them. I go through and I pick greens from all over the garden. I even pick sow thistle when I can find it. And greens would only be edible. I'm not taking tomato leaves. I'm taking all the different leaves and I pick from different plants. So this one is some sort of hybrid. I take from that. I've got purple ones back there. I've got a purple hybrid of some sort. Purple tree collar. That's a hybrid growing there. And they said, absolutely, whatever you've done, he's healthy, his blood work, everything was good. So go ahead and do. And I can take lemon verbena and mint and put it in. Do whatever you're doing, don't stop. So that's where we're at now. So now he will eat from the garden. And when I say eat, I made a green drink before I went to the hospital. Of course, he couldn't have anything yesterday at all, but I took a glass, kept me going, because I didn't even realize, took a green drink in the morning. And then when we got home last night, I don't remember what time we got home. 5:30, around then, I wasn't even hungry yet. I did have chicken made already to go in the oven with vegetables and everything, but I had sustained myself all day, probably from, the stress and the adrenaline, but all in all, I was not hungry. So that green drink really helped. I mean, you think of the nutrients that are coming out of here. A lot of these are growing in the ground. This is growing in the container. The one in the back there with the big leaves are growing in the ground. So that's why I like picking one leaf here, two leaves here, another leaf here, another one there. This is growing in the ground. And so you're getting something. In case you don't get it from one, you'll get it from another. I see a tomato back there. And that is great. So we're supposed to continue the green drink. And I'm sure he had some this morning because it's already in the fridge. Look at this. This tomato plant, this is the Travelers. It's coming from down here. It's going up. Look, I have a little tomato. I should pick that, shouldn't I? I really should, because, maybe I'll make, maybe I'll make tacos or something. I don't know, but see how it's supposed to have broken off and been in segments, but it's a small one. But either way, it's going in my pocket, and I'll bring that in. It's kind of winding around. I will not be growing, unless there's an area I don't care about. I won't be growing that type of plant again. Here's another one. I mean, it's doing really well now that the weather's cooled down. It's really crazy. It didn't do well in the summer, but it's throwing tons of tomatoes. I've got to stake this one up. But instead of breaking into segments, it's kind of like a little bundle. That's not the reason. The reason is they're larger tomatoes and they take longer to develop. So I have a tomato that takes longer, that's that big or that big, where I can grow cherry type tomatoes, any of the small varieties that you constantly have all the tomatoes you want. I don't care if I have to cut them up or do whatever it is. So you keep getting tomatoes on the small ones, but the larger ones take time, and it should have been a lot bigger than this. It should have been 3 times the size. I got some that were much bigger, but all in all, it's still food. So that is the update. Let's walk over here and look at the papayas. Hopefully I'll have papayas real soon. This is the plant that we all looked at the beginning of the year after all the freeze and thought, will this plant make it? Well, it did. I think we're getting close. I know some people cook and use green papayas, and if I wanted to, I could take them down now, but I'm going to leave them right now. But I'm really excited with that. All growing in an 18-gallon tote that it broke out of. But now I want to protect the base of it. So I've got all this geranium growing. This geranium's growing in there. I've got some growing in the pot there and some there. I'm going to surround the base so when we get really cold, remember, the soil may not freeze here, but the air could get frozen. It will still think it's warm on the bottom, and that's what I'm hoping, because so far so good. And then, of course, we always add in some purple when we're making a green drink. Is that not gorgeous? And our moringa. Now, what I should do right now is start collecting it. It's turning yellow, and freeze it. So when I make a green drink, I'll just take it out of the freezer. Someone told me, he was from Mexico, you eat this no matter what. Even if it's yellow, the leaves still have all the nutrition. So I'm going to start getting some of the leaves off. Isn't this beautiful? And just freeze some. So I can take out a leaf or just take out a piece. If I freeze it in a clump, break a piece off and add it to the green drink that I make. Isn't that gorgeous? So that is what is going on. So all in all, everything is good. Our plants are still growing. I've got mint here. The Malabar spinach is turning yellow because we're getting cold at night. We're getting into the 40s and maybe high 40s, 48, 52. It goes back and forth, but that's cold for a lot of these tropical plants. Look at the oranges. Oh, let me squeeze through here without falling. Nobody's going to get me if I fall. Look at this. We're going to have oranges at any time. These are actually, I'm not sure, I think they're tangerines or mandarins, but isn't that gorgeous? And then we've got more citrus here. Nobody takes care of them. I just put some water over there and make sure they get some water as I'm watering my garden. And those are the grapefruit ones. I think it's a cocktail grapefruit. This is a purple tree colored. I never get back here. I cleared this whole area. Now these can be broke off and rooted. There's a sweet time, in other words, when propagating works really good. And a lot of times when it's cold at night, it's not now. So if I broke off a lot of pieces and tried to grow it, they may just die back. That one took. Some of those did not. Still a little green there. And I don't know if they'll take. You know what? That one took. So we'll have to see. But if you're propagating, it's good to take any of these plants. Go ahead and do what you're going to do. You cut it, you put it in soil. Keep it in the house, but don't put it in direct sunlight. That will end your propagation easily. Indirect sunlight, not direct sunlight. So in other words, the sun's coming to the window, but keep it in a shaded area and it should work. Because sometimes if you're in the 40s at night, propagating slows down. It slows down with all the plants that I'm doing, I've noticed. Even the hummingbird's lunch, the flowers that I propagate, wrong time of the year. See all this? I'm going to be able to take all this off and just simply toss it in that tote. And then later on, I'll be able to grow in there. Look at all the walking onions. These are babies. They're big now. And all this, clean this up, throw it in there, but definitely want to get that soil. Even if I don't do anything but put it in a big flower pot and just give it a little bit of water because I want it to stay alive. There's earthworms in there. I saw that. If I let it dry out, it's like buying a bag of soil and there's nothing in there. You'll never find an earthworm in a bag of soil. You'll never find anything. And no microbes or anything. So that's what's going on. I will keep you up to date. Really need to pick a few more of these and make some tea out of it. Oh, that would be good for him while he's recouping. And that's it. So all worked out good. Don't want to talk your ear off because there isn't anything else to say. I'm going to be doing my gardens myself right now, which I usually do anyways. There's a few things. Sometimes he comes out and waters for me. I'm going to walk down to his. He told me there's nothing in his. Whatever happens, happens. He doesn't care. It is a hike, but I will be going down there and looking through and see if there's anything I can do. So that's Gary's garden. It is way down below. There's only two ways to get to that. And it's a trail or down those long stairs on the side that he built, by the way. There it is, growing through the top. But guess what? I did go down and I went down the trail. I will say this is a beautiful hike. It's peaceful. Look at all the elephant food he put to the right there. It's starting to grow. They were tiny pieces. And then he's got the aloe vera on the other side and shark fin melon growing. I never hike over here. There's the truck bed. I didn't paint the back of the truck bed, so the back is still white. The front is that purpley color. Look at this. Now, those are olive trees that are growing to the right, and that's what's all over the ground. The birds come and they eat it. I've never eaten them. Maybe I should try them one day. Now, these are olive trees, and it looks like they're dropping these things, but don't touch them. They're giving off purple, like really bad. My hands are now stained. Look at this. I'm going to have to find out more about them because the birds come and eat them, but so many of them fall to the ground. Oh, look at that. Purple something. Possibly olives. We'll have to do some research on that. Maybe I should brine some with some salt and try it. I have nothing to lose. They're not supposed to be toxic. The worst that would happen is they'd be bitter. So now I've made it all the way down to Gary's garden. There's my garden up on the top there. There's the palm tree waving in the wind, and it's windy right now. This is an interesting weed. I actually am growing one in a flower pot. I like it, but I didn't know it gets this big because mine's on the deck in a small flower pot. So I'm gonna have to look that up. Avocado tree here, but let's look through and what's going on in Gary's garden. I haven't been down here in, I'm gonna have to say months. A lot of the vines have died back. They're dying back for the winter, which will be here in about a month. But all in all, look at all the stuff he's got in there. Look at all the shark fin melon. Should we go in? Sure. Oh my, he uses them once in a while. I'm still not crazy about them. And look how they store. He's just cuts them off and puts them underneath. There are so many. It's something I am slowly working with. I'm trying to find not a recipe, but some way to cook it that I really like it. Maybe I should cut it up, bread it, and fry it. Everything tastes good fried, right? Look how many there are. I mean, it's a good food source if something ever happened and you couldn't get enough food, because it's totally edible. Look at, they're hanging from the top, ready to fall. You got to be careful. I don't know if they fall or he picks them and puts them underneath. There's so many. You know what's really odd is to think that though we're going into winter, you're only looking at 3 or 4 months before everything bursts back into life. After you get through the holidays and you start thinking about your garden, things start to grow. Look at this. There's so many. The totes look great. He's had them set up there for a while. Look at that. Wow. They are big. All right, let's go out. Now we're out. There's a kiddie pool, and it's got strawberries growing, and I can't tell you everything he's got, but I see there's potatoes and all kinds of stuff. Look at this, his apple trees. There's the hummingbirds. Yeah, he's not going to be coming down here every day. He does like to wander through. It's probably going to be a couple times a week. And there's the Mexican sage, the one I showed you in my garden. He's growing it there. There's his grapevine. And he's got flowers. This is papaya. He's had this here for years, along with the dragon fruit plants growing all around. Isn't it pretty today? It's a beautiful day. There are the hummingbirds. Their favorite tree, and then they sit in that leafless tree and they wait for me. All right, let's go in and see what he's got in here. Look at that. There's so much going on. Oh, you know, we haven't seen his new arbor. I think the last time we came down, he was just starting it. So there are the cement blocks. Obviously, he's still getting to it. I guess it's going to be for dragon fruit. We're going to have to ask him. Is that not cool? When you think about it, it really didn't cost that much. It's the rebar he bent up, and then the mesh he puts on top. Look how cool that is. More dragon fruit, huh? All right. Oh, he's got a nectar. It looks like a nectarine tree. And then he's got his lemon verbena. And I know he's got pepinos through here, and that was passion fruit vine. Look at this. See, there's the passion fruit. He's got his ponds under there, but a lot of stuff is overgrown. There's bananas in the back. Everything, by the way, is damp. I looked. We're cool right now, especially at night. We may warm up during the day, but only for a few hours, and then it's cool, so nothing's really drying out. Still really green. Look how nice and green it is. He's got his cannas growing there. We're just going to wander through. Here's another banana plant. I think my daughter gave him that one. I'm not 100% sure. More kiddie ponds. Again, in the spring, he'll be redoing all this. Look at this. This is the passion fruit. He eats it. He loves it. You can't pick those. You've got to wait till they fall. That's when they're ripe, and that's when you eat them. They're all over. And then the dragon fruit is everywhere. We can't even keep up with it. There's been so many. I have frozen so many of them, but he brings them in. If we don't get to it quick enough, they don't keep. Look at that. That's why they're so expensive in the store. It's like figs are expensive. That's not a fruit that keeps real well. And then this is outside. It's still his garden, but it's on the outside of where we just walked. There's this stairway, and that's another way of going back up. To me, that's a bigger hike than taking the trail. I kind of like the trail. It gives you things to look at. But I figured I'd run down here, and I had my camera with me, so I wanted to show you what's going on while he is recouping in the house. He's supposed to be resting. There's his plants. He's got nasturtiums. Oh, that's the black cobra peppers on the bottom there. This is fun. We get to at least take a peek while he's recouping. I like the setup with the totes. More plants around here, more fig leaf gourd and different things growing. I know he's got different berries. I'm not sure if they're raspberries, blackberries. He's probably got a lot of different ones. And that's it. This is where we came through, and we can go back through the same way. This is so pretty in here, especially in a few months when it's covered in all the beautiful green leaves. It's just so cool and nice. Even in the summer, it's nice and cool in there. Oh my goodness, I have to figure out what to do with shark fin melon. Or fig leaf gourd, whatever you want to call it. I've got to do something with it. Oh, look, it can extend out. That's it. You walk from there, now up the trail, and back up to my garden. So you got to take a peek at Gary's garden today. He's not worried about it because it will all come back when he's ready to really get into it. And then later on, he'll feel better once he heals to be able to do more without being in any pain or anything. And remember, this is chia seed. Look at this. If you got chia seed, you know, a lot of you eat chia seed. Grab a little bit of it. And even if you had it in the freezer, this was out of the freezer, the seed, and go ahead and plant them in the spring. And they grow really nice flowers. This one's almost done now. As the weather cools, the leaves start to go because, again, they like the warm weather and they're annuals. So I hope I didn't talk your ear off, but I'm going to go back, go find out what my husband's doing. I don't know. It's morning, so I don't know if he's doing tortillas or if he's running around the yard, but I'm going to go check on him. I will keep you up to date. I want to thank you for all your prayers. Everything worked out good. And that's basically it. Oh, isn't this beautiful? That's the plant that Gary stopped. There was a landscaper that was a hummingbird there. He's sitting on top. He was planting and he gave him a piece. And Gary's got some in his garden. I've got that. And then a piece I propagated off of that I've got as well. And that works out really nice. And the hummingbirds love it. So everybody have a wonderful day. I don't know what our weather's going to be. It was beautiful and sunny yesterday before we left. And then it got cloudy this morning. And now the sun is breaking through here and there. It'll be a mixed day. With that, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to eat what you grow. Thank you very much for everything. And we're still here. And we'll be better than ever. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.